Hello and welcome back. I'm Nicole, a cottage witch, and today I'm going to be doing my monthly favorite things, books I've read, things I've made. I can't tell if I'm looking pinker than usual, but I do in real life because I just got back in from a 3-hour walk outside in the snow, and it's cold because it's Canada and winter. So anyway, one of the things I've been doing a lot of this month is making collages. Now, keep your inner art critic to yourself, because I'm not a professional artist. But I haven't done this in a long time. These are double-sided ones. And it was fun to just get back into ripping paper up and making things. Some of these are cards from the Literary Witches Oracle, because the writer's cards are great. I love them. The cards about witchy things I find very boring. So, in an effort to make them not boring, now of course I can't shuffle these anymore because, no. They're too thick. Also, some of these are from another deck called Threads of Fate, I think, but it was a copy, what do you call them? A fake, basically, that I'd accidentally gotten before I knew that there even were fake decks out there. So it doesn't have the gilding that it would normally have, and it was much smaller. So I've cut it up and used some of the images and some of the keywords. And now that I've bent that one, I'll have to glue it back on. Yeah, these are really not bendy anymore, but yeah, that's one of the fun things I've been working on lately. The other thing I've done, should I show this now? I'll wait and show that when I start with the books. Okay. Decks. I'm gonna do decks next. So one of the decks I've been using this month is our tarot, which I've only just gotten this month, but earlier in the month. And its guidebook is fantastic. And these women are amazing. And a lot of them, I have no idea who that is. Okay, Elizabeth I know. The name sounds vaguely familiar. Beatrix Potter, I know. That's amazing. I love that image. Name sounds vaguely familiar. Yep, heard of her. Harriet Tubman. Joan of Arc. So there's a lot of incredible women. Frida Kahlo, all-time favorite. But I didn't know her. So when I pulled this card, so for a few days this month anyway, I've just pulled a card, then looked that person up, and it's got like 3 pages on each. Don't know who this is either. Person, where they're from, what they're known for. It's an incredible guidebook. Mangari Matai, I love her. Yeah, so that's been a one card at a time because there's so many that I don't know. Also, I think I will edge this in gold sometime while I'm sitting around watching TV or something. One of the other things I've done this month is to pull a card from a deck that I made just for myself of herbalism practice. So it's tarot, in that I gave everything a tarot association. Put the common name and the Latin name, and then why, like the associations that would justify that tarot pairing, and then various herbalism details about the black cohosh. And it's just pictures that mostly, I haven't taken this one, because I don't know that this grows around me, but like that one I took, so that's blue spruce. And so I'll just pull one card a day and just spend time with that plant. Since I can't connect with plants in real life, well, kind of. I did take a lot of pictures of what plants look like in the winter today. And it's really interesting. They look totally different. Trees are much harder to identify, and some plants are totally buried under the snow. So actually I may tomorrow take a picture of what my lemon balm on my balcony now looks like now that it's been frozen. And plantain. So it's the same for all of them. Plantain associations. And then, for some reason that cut off. Don't know why that is. And then herbalism uses. In the unlabeled ones are the sort of generic Western herbalism uses, and then the other uses. So I've been practicing with this. The poplar is the one that I picked 2 days ago. So I've been spending time with that one, and the balm with Gilead that I made. And that's what it can be used for, amongst other things. So a salve for minor aches and pains that aspirin generally relieves is this. Yeah. So just as a way to spend time with plants, now that it's a bit frozen outside, I've been using that. The only other thing I've been doing with tarot is the Drop 178. And I got a couple days behind because, you know, life will happen. So basically this weekend I'm just looking at all 4 of the quartz in the pentacles, deniers pentacles in French. And I'm using the Gentle Tarot as the calibration because I used that last time. So I won't really get into this, but these are the images I'm spending time with and thinking about today. And I mean, I love this artwork quite a lot. This one is sort of an odd one out for me in this deck, but yeah, really enjoying that. Even though I'm not putting a ton of time into it because time and energy budgeting. It's fun. All right. That's everything that's not books, I think. So, books. The first one I'll mention, because it comes with a visual aid, whoops, is Kate Fruller's Of Blood and Bones. And this is the book that was part of Lisa Pez's book club on her YouTube channel membership. And I just do I think it's like $4 Canadian a month or something. It's super affordable to be part of the book club. I don't do the other stuff because I don't need to vote on decks and things and whatever. But I wanted a sort of witchy book club. And this seems to be that. So that was my first month of her book club. It was this book, which I'd listened to as an audiobook before. And then when I saw that it was going to be the book club when I joined, I bought the physical copy and marked quite a few things that I'd like to try, one of which I did, which is the winter/death oil. So I'm thinking of it as a winter oil because where I live in Canada, things tend to die back in the winter because they freeze. That's just how it goes around here. And I've used a hawthorn thorn because the hawthorn plant is protective to me. It's also very gentle, I find, even if the thorns look a bit intimidating, but it's very protective. I used ash from several plants that I won't name, but I chose specific plants for specific reasons. Burned them and put the ash in, and then used olive oil as the base and put in a little bit of black tourmaline. So that is this. I don't know, it might not show up very well on camera, or just might look like blackish oil with bits in. So anyway, that's the death oil. It's been stewing for a couple of weeks now, so that's fun. Next, well, I'll just do these because they're on top. These are 2 recent ones in the Freya and Huldar series by Yrsa Sigurdardóttir. She's an Icelandic thriller mystery typewriter, very eerie sort of atmosphere in a lot of them. But yeah, she's a thriller writer, and these ones are, if you don't like crimes involving kids, these are not for you, because Freya, one of the characters, works for like Children's Aid or something. And so the kids are either victims of crimes or witnesses to crimes. And so yeah, there's the description of one of them. But she's a really good writer. They're very fun and easy to read and quick to get through, and great for when you need to feel cozy on a very snowy day, which we've had a few of this week. So that's what I've read this week for the most part. I also finished, I started this ages ago, Tara in the Palm of Your Hand. This is more esoteric sort of guide to, what am I trying to say? Tibetan Buddhism practices. So Tara is a bodhisattva in Buddhism, and there are 21 versions of her, basically, and I'm vastly oversimplifying that, but she can protect you from different things. There are 21 praises to the 21 different versions for different things. He talks about prayer, altars, and then different practices that you can do. And it's quite interesting. And then who the different taras are and what they signify. So it's a very, not academic, but it's not a novel-like read, you know. It's a study type book. So here's one of the taras, Tara 20. Tara, source of all-powerful attainments, and then what she is, who she is, which you say as though you are her, praise for her, the mantra for her, and then the next one. So yeah, that's a very geeky, esoteric sort of book, but it was interesting. This is a more accessible book about Buddhist ideas, which is Fear, Essential Wisdom for Getting Through the Storm by Thich Nhat Hanh. I love his books. So I've been reading this one and wrote down, I would tab certain pages and then write them down in a notebook to keep handy of things that I wanted to just remember. Also because this is a library book and has to go back very soon. I also read 36 Secrets. Now I'd started doing this as a, don't have enough room on this table. It's no problem. I'd started doing the Decamok earlier in the year. And then, that didn't happen. So I didn't finish that, but I wanted to finish the book. So I finished the book. And it's quite good. As everything from Susan Chang is quite good. It just gives you the images of the card. And it's very personal to her. It's like her associations with everything. Some of the stuff, like the Kabbalah stuff, I skipped over. Some of the astrology I skipped over, or skimmed over. And then she's a poem for each one. So yeah, that was fun. And this thing, oh yeah, which was also fun. I finally finished. I'd started it, I don't know, a couple of months ago at least. And it's massive. It's got like everything in it. Seriously, it's ridiculous. I've tabbed a few things I want to look back at. And it's a very, very good overview of tarot. I actually think it's not a bad beginner book if you're not scared of big books. Yeah, because it really does go over everything that you might need to know as a beginner. It's not everybody's style. Like I'm reading another book now by Camellia Elias, which is a totally different approach to tarot. But this section was great. Allaying fears and offering theories. That was fantastic. Loved that section. Personal journey. Keywords, yeah, useful. Kind of skimmed over that because I kind of knew them all already. And the Encyclopedia of Card Meanings, same thing. Like I read it, but sort of sped through it. And then different ways of doing things, like signifier cards, interpreting court cards, shuffling, cutting and drawing, reading spreads. I've got a few of those that I might do because I haven't used spreads a lot, but I may one of these days start doing that, and then I'll dive back more into this because she's got tons of information about them. And then getting into readings, reading things you might need to know when reading for other people. And then various other odds and ends, tarot for this, tarot for that, tarot for just all sorts of specific things. There really is a lot in this book. Yeah, so I'm glad I read it. I'm not sure how much I'll use it going forward, but I'm glad I read it at least once. Wait, it is heavy. And then I read this book on the Kell by Rachel Patterson, which was pretty interesting. They call her a goddess on here. I'm not really sure she's a goddess because there are all sorts of different versions of her. Sometimes multiple versions exist in the same story, so it seems not to be necessarily a single deity. The ancient crone goddess. I mean, the ancient crone archetype, I might say, because I'm not sure there is one goddess. Even after reading this, I'm not sure there's one, you know, definitive goddess. But yeah, it's your typical Pagan Portals book with different stories from Ireland and Scotland, and different things she's known for. And then some more personal things from the author, I think, and associations and whatnot. These are the author's associations. Yeah, so it was interesting. There seems not to be, I mean, it's a very slim book, so I don't know if there's just not a lot written about her. But it was interesting as far as it goes. Okay, next I've got my very messy notes of the audiobooks, which I will insert pictures of. So, A Walk Through the Forest of Souls by Rachel Pollack. I enjoyed that one. I read that, I listened to it as an audiobook, and I liked it a lot more than 78 Degrees of Wisdom. It was just it was easier to read because it had more of a flow, like a narrative flow through it, and it was also just full of interesting ideas to explore. So I liked that one. I also read Tarot for Change, Using the Cards for Self-Care, Acceptance, and Growth by Jessica Dorr, which I thought was pretty interesting, but it was very, very psychological in nature, which, I mean, was the stated, like, point of the book. But it got into some interesting psychological things, and I enjoyed it. Path of the Moonlit Hedge by Nathan Hall I also read, and I'm glad I read that when it was still a bit nicer to go for walks outside, because it's about animism and hedge crossing. And it was actually lovely to listen to outside as I was going for walks through, well, there aren't really the woods in the middle of the city, but, you know, wooded areas, river areas. What else did I read? Oh yeah, I read Origins of Great Ancient Civilizations and Between the Rivers, and had to make cheat sheet notes for myself because I couldn't keep track of where all these, when all these civilizations took place, because there are a lot of them and they span thousands of years. But I love that period in time, and I love the Levant, Mesopotamia, Anatolia sort of area. I think it's fascinating because I'm a geek, and yeah, really enjoyed those. I also read Minor Detail by Adania Shibley, which is a novel, and it's, I can't remember how old it is. It's not a new book, although it's been re-released recently, but it is about, actually I can't even remember where it's set exactly. I think a generation or two after the creation of the State of Israel. And the main character is a Palestinian woman who's trying to do some research. She's, I think, a journalist, although I don't know if that's ever stated for sure. She's clearly got some, like, mental health trauma type problems going on that's also not clearly defined in the book. And she sort of goes on this journey to see if she can discover more about the story of another woman that she read about. She just read a snippet about this other woman who had died before she was born, but on the same day she was born, I think. And so she felt a connection, and then, yeah, And then I won't tell you what happens after that because it would give it away. But it's a really lovely book. It's very short and easy to read. It's very moving. It's very touching. The only other thing I did this month that I'll bring up is I've worked my way through most of Annette Host's Seder course, which I'll link below. She has a Seder course on her YouTube channel, and I think she teaches in either Sweden or Norway as well. I can't remember where exactly, which country. But if you're interested in Seder, it was a very interesting few videos to listen to, and she practices it herself and seems to have done quite a lot of research and teaches a lot of people. So yeah, I don't know that I'll continue to practice that. I think I'll go more the way of Nathan Hall in Path of the Moonlit Hedge in terms of hedge crossing and animism and plant spirits and that sort of thing. But that's just my personal preference. I think that's it. Did I miss anything? I don't think I missed anything. Oh, did I mention the girl on the Eagle's Talons? I don't think I did. I read that too. That's the next, the latest Elizabeth Salander book that Stieg Larsson started, and then David Lagerkrantz, something like that, continued, and Karen, somebody whose last name I've forgotten, has now done, I feel like this is probably the 7th book or something like that. Anyway, it was alright. I mean, I love the character of Lisbeth Salander that Stieg Larsson created. I think she is phenomenal. Blomkvist is pretty good too. I like him. There were parts of the story with her niece that were pretty interesting. There were things that were completely implausible, but that's, you know, that happened in the Lagerkrantz books too, where things were just like outrageously impossible. So that got a bit eye-rolly. But the personal stories between her and her niece and Blomkvist and a couple other people in the book, those were more interesting. And it was a thriller, but I thought it, you know, a couple more rounds of editing might not have been a bad thing. So yeah, fun, but not amazing. And I think that's where I'll end today. That was my, what month are we on now? Jeez, October. That was my October. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time.